Yeah, so we ran out of tea bags, lads, so we're on this today, you know what I mean? Alright, the Reds, talking Reds, some big news today, and that is Trent Alexander Arnold in the England squad, mate.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Boss, isn't it?
Yeah.
Made up for him.
Yeah.
Love the story about how he found out.
Yeah, it's good that, isn't it? Klopp just sort of saying, like, you know, you going on holiday, lad? And he's like, nah, and he's like, you're in the World Cup, you're in the World Cup squad then.
Boss.
It's alright that, isn't it?
Yeah.
I always think it's quite funny actually about when you hear about how they found out, and you know, like you get a text off like the secretary or something like that, and it always feels a bit like, oh, is that all that happens? But like, it is only football.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like you build it up into, I don't know, you expect like Southgate to turn up on the doorstep with a cap and hand it over or something, you know what I mean?
I think that's what they should start doing. Myself. What else is he doing? He must have loads of time to spare, mustn't he? Might take him some time, like.
Lallana's not in the squad though, mate, so...
I know. It's weird that though, isn't it? Because like, I can't imagine anyone else in the rest of the country is one bit surprised by that. But when I was flicking through Twitter last night, and I thought, oh, I'll have a look at the squad. And I was like, they're just loads of crap players. So why wouldn't you pick Lallana? He's brilliant.
There's a real sort of low expectation this time, isn't there, around you know, England and World Cup and everything. There's normally like this huge build-up. You know, there's people going mad about it, saying this is our year and this is our big chance and all that. And it isn't this time.
Yeah, I don't know what the age demographic of people watching us on this are, but for our age, this is the first time it's ever happened, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've never known this happen before. Like every year, no matter how shit England are, there's always that build-up of how they're going to win it, they're brilliant and all that. I suppose just so that in a few weeks' time they can say they're crap and they're the worst footballers to ever grace the shirt and all that, and put someone on the front page and make people burn effigies of them and that. So it's a refreshing change, I suppose. But I saw some people saying they've gone the complete opposite way now. Like they're not even saying like, oh, it's a young group, so there's a bit of hope and all that, and we'll see how they get on. They've gone like, nah, they're shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like there was a story not long ago where you know, one of the FA chiefs had basically said if Gareth Southgate loses every match in Russia, he's fine. He's still got his job, and it's like, that's really low expectation, isn't it? That's just like, yeah, we'll get him. And then he's picked a really young squad as well, and it's almost like, you know, it feels like a bit experimental, like it's the World Cup, innit? Yeah,
it sort of sums up this country though, doesn't it? Like you can never have middle ground. A number of times I'm like in conversations with people where I'm like, can't there just be a middle ground? Does it have to be black or white? Can't we just have some hope without everyone being built up ridiculously? But do you know what? I think for the first time in a long time, maybe since like 96, 98 for me, this is an England squad and manager that I'll probably be alright watching. I don't hate them. Yeah. I'm not going to support them because I just don't really support England. But
supporting Egypt.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, like they seem like a decent group of lads, don't they? And Southgate's sound.
Southgate's alright.
I think he's alright. I suppose it sort of sums up like why there's no hope though, isn't it? Like he's just harmless, isn't he?
Yeah.
I always say about people like, I'd much rather you all call me a bellend than said, oh, he's just alright.
I reckon it's the worst thing anyone can say about it.
He's nice.
He's harmless, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, he's harmless. That just means you've got nothing about you whatsoever.
Yeah.
Alright, Liverpool news then. Or Liverpool-related news, I should say, is that Pep Lijnders has been sacked.
Yeah.
Which seems a bit of a bit harsh, even though he only started in January. They finished third in the league. How do you say that? Are you going to have a go?
No idea. I don't.
NEC Nijmegen.
I don't. You've just. I was just about to say I'll only offend them, but I've let you do it.
Nijmegen.
This is a typical English thing. English people pronounce foreign words as if all the letters are the same.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I'm really bad at stuff like this. I should probably try and learn. Well, I can't even do English, can I? So let's be Nijmegen, I reckon, might be alright. NEC Nijmegen. Anyway, whoever it was, they finished third in the league, 5 places off the top. That must be points. Come on, Echo. Therefore, missing out on an instant return to the top division. They decided to bid him. I mean, what's interesting about this, of course, is that Buvac currently is in some kind of gardening leave situation.
Yeah.
We don't really know what happened there. But Linda's, he really, he treasured his opinion. He was really close to him. I mean, we got a little glimpse at it when we were in Hong Kong, and he was actively involved in the training sessions, talking to Klopp all the time. He walked past us and we shouted something to him about someone being offside or something, and he was like, no, it was, and he had and you could tell, he's obviously very technically minded.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is, it'd be no great surprise if he actually came back.
No, well, I suppose it depends on him, doesn't it? Like, have you read the statement from the club? It's a bit of like a cryptic statement, because it sort of says it was sort of mutual and we sat down and had a chat about it. But it, like, maybe I'm reading too much into it. It sort of said to me as well that, like, they haven't got the ambition he wants, and he wants more than they want. I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much, but I wondered whether because Buvac isn't there, I wondered whether, if you're Klopp, would you just say to him, well, just come over to us now, just come to the training camp, you're valuable, everyone likes you, you might as well be here for a week, you'll pick things up just being around. Yeah. And you might as well be part of it. But one of the things I thought when he left was, isn't it a shame that, like, he won't get to go on this run and go to the final and get a medal and all that? So I think it'd be nice for him to come back and see. And the end of the story I read, it might have been the Echo saying there's no link with Buvac having gone. It's not linked to that. But it depends what he wants, doesn't it? Like, if he wants to go somewhere and be the main man, then that's down to him and it's not going to change. But if he looks at this opportunity now and thinks, I could be number 2 to Klopp there, which is a step up from where I was before, got loads of fresh ideas, I can be more influential in that role.
Maybe, yeah, because I mean,
solve a lot of problems.
There was lots of talks about that was why he left, wasn't it? About ambition and about that, he wanted to be a manager and that sort of thing. Yeah. So maybe he just looks for another manager's job, and maybe we're reading a bit too much into it. But he did seem, really, really close. And I know Glenn Price went out there for ESPN and interviewed him. And when Glenn was speaking to him, he said, he missed Liverpool, and it'd been a big jump for him, a big change in terms of culture and club and everything else. Apparently, I mean, Glenn was saying then that there was ridiculously high expectations around what he should be achieving. So perhaps it's no surprise that he's ended up, walking away this soon. Whatever's happened, I mean, there is a bit of that in the statement, as you say, that it seems to be. It says, unfortunately, this didn't work out for both of us as we had previously proposed. So yeah, see what happens on that one. Another interesting one picked up today. This is in the Scottish Daily Record. Just some ideas around who Gerrard might be targeting, as Rangers manager. There was talk of Skrtel, we already knew that one. There's a link also to Lucas Leiva, which I'd love. I mean, if Lucas ends up there as well, I'm definitely going to a match. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the other one is, apparently, according to the record, Gerrard's had preliminary talks with Klopp about Solanke. I mean, so that's an interesting one as well. I mean, you kind of think, again, from a Liverpool perspective, could this sort of work to our advantage in that we've got a fella who loves the club, loves Klopp, has recently been involved at the academy. Could it be a decent place for people to go and get a bit of loan time and a bit of first team football? Yeah,
definitely. It's made me laugh since Gerrard went, because we get some like whispers, obviously, from the contacts we have and stuff, and the number of like different signings I've heard, and people have said to me, nailed on, mate, get down the bookies, get your money on this. And it's basically just the team he played with, mainly. All the lads he's mates with in the past, they were all about 40 now. And I was saying, if he's gonna go out and sign like the likes of Skrtel and Torres and all these lads, he might as well play himself, mightn't he? Surely he can still do what they can do. He's only 38,
and he's kept himself fit. I mean, I did kind of wonder that myself.
If you're I was thinking, if you're a Rangers fan, wouldn't you think, just lash your shirt off, mate? You will be well better than all of these lads.
You'll still be all right.
You might as well have a go. But yeah, Solanke, I always think stuff like this. I couldn't believe when we turned down the opportunity for Harry Wilson to go to Celtic under Rodgers. I just thought, like, isn't that a perfect place for a young lad to go and develop, and he'll score loads of goals, he'll play in a system, because Gerrard's even been talking about, like, and I know I always think it'll be interesting to see how Gerrard's teams, when he's the main man, how they play, because he's played under so many different styles of manager, and I always assumed he'd be more of a Julio Benitez type, because that's where he got most of his success. But I heard him talking the other day saying, like, why wouldn't you want to play like Klopp? Why wouldn't you want to? So let's say he is going to implement that style. Yeah, I'd be sending Solanke on the first flight up there.
We're just going right the way through today, by the way. We're not going to do the break in the middle because Sam's not here today. And also we're just generally winging it in that. What I mean by that is busy day today, loads of stuff going on. Got Steve Warner coming in a bit. We're going to do a pro view with him. Going to look back on his career basically because he's obviously hung his boots up now. So pleased to have him in and go back to his career with him today. Other stuff going on this afternoon as well. There's loads of shows as ever on Tour Player on the Anfield app. Subscribe to the Anfield app to Tour Player by just going to the Anfield app /subscribe. £5 a month. We're going right through the summer. Also last chance today as well to vote for us in the British Podcast Awards. I think it's britishpodcastawards.com/vote. I think is the web address. Either way, if you Google it, you'll find us. Type in the Anfield app, vote for us. We have been told that we're sort of in the running for the listener's choice. We're among the top runners. There are ones that are backed by the BBC and big media corporations. There's a Sun-backed one in there as well, which would be really shite if they won, let's be honest. So let's beat them, let's win something, let's put a nice gong in the studio, and it's a nice way for you to say you like what we do, and we like that, and everyone's a winner.
You haven't had an award for a while, mate, have you?
We haven't, mate, no. It feels like,
they went through a spell where they got all kinds. They were like United in the glory years, weren't they?
And now
just sweeping up everything.
Now they're all a little bit dusty and a little bit old, and it feels like the edge has been taken off when you say, oh yeah, a few years back we won Podcast of the Year, and everyone's like, a few years back, what happened?
Yeah, it's like banging on about Istanbul, isn't it? You're still nerding about it. Yeah. I reckon it's because you're not as good as you used to be.
Maybe it might be that, you know.
Or is it because Craig doesn't know how to turn a camera on and off?
It could be that as well.
Could be that.
Could be that we do really odd things in Talking Reds and don't explain them as well. Yeah. I mean, the other thing then is...
I can't believe you haven't had any of your drink yet.
I'm going to have some now because... The other news obviously is that Big Sam at Everton, after 6 months, or more specifically 162 days, has been sacked.
162 days.
Being sacked as Everton manager.
How much is that per day?
I don't know.
What's Craig do 9 million divided by 162?
Come on, you're sitting there with the laptop, it's got a calculator on it.
Jesus.
Sam disgusted that he's being treated this way and being given 5 million quid in his hands. I mean, a toast to Sam then, mate.
Well done, Sam. Well done, Sam.
24,861. Not sure about that, Sam, to be honest. What do you think? Can you see why he's chonging on that every day? Is it for you?
I've got a taste for it, maybe.
I mean...
I can see why he's the build he is.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there must be some calories in that. What do you reckon? If you necked all of that, is that your calories for the day?
Full day, yeah.
If you're a nutritionist, let us know.
We might be creating a new diet plan here, mightn't we? Live on YouTube.
But there was a thing, I know I remember on the front page of, some really poor tabloid. You're into it, lad, yeah?
Yeah, it's good, yeah.
Might have a bit more myself.
Well done, Sam. Sticking to me face.
Off the red, Sam. I remember Vanessa Feltz went through a period where she was necking custard. Just
what?
Just making custard up like that and just literally drinking it.
As like a diet thing, or?
She just liked it. She just got into it, yeah, and like
How'd you get into that?
Like she piled on a few pounds as a consequence, and it was, I just remember walking through like the shop. And it was on one of them, tittle tattle, mad gossip magazines on the front. I drank 4 gallons of custard a day, or whatever it was.
That'll be us in 4 years. You'll see, there'll be a Channel 5 undercover. Me and you just sitting in a bedsit somewhere drinking gravy.
The gravy years. I mean, just to go further into Allardyce then, I mean, people were asking us to cover this a little bit more in depth. Everton are our rivals, our city rivals. It's fair enough that we have a chat about them, I think. Allardyce says, I'm shocked, disappointed and disgusted that the club didn't have the decency to tell me, my director of football and my staff about the changes. They must have been in the pipeline for a considerable time, but no one thought to tell me and my staff. I came to the club with the team struggling and we finished 8th in the table. I'm more than happy with what myself, my staff and the players have achieved from when I came in. He keeps selling that, doesn't he? He keeps selling that line. They were 13th when he came in. 5 points off the relegation zone at the time. And yet they finished 8th. I mean, obviously...
how many points did they finish off the relegation zone?
I don't know, I forgot to look that up.
No, it won't be much,
It wasn't that many, no.
Because it's not that big a gap between 8th and relegation.
No.
There'll be a bigger gap to 5th.
Yeah, he basically didn't do a good job, but he's happy to spin it that he did. And the thing is, it's not just about results anyway, is it? It's about the style of football, how you act as the manager, how you treat the fans, what you say to the media. And in all of those respects, he got it so wrong. And you saw the banners that they were holding up at Goodison Park. You saw the fact that they all went home on the last day when they're supposed to be clapping off the players and all that sort of thing. And it did just feel after a while that he was just royally taking the piss out of them. I mean, he comes on the telly and basically was asked a question about supporters, booing his decisions and singing about him in a negative manner. And he was laughing about it. He was just laughing about it. And it did just have the air of a fella who was just like, listen, you made me come in when you needed me to get you out of a little hole. I've got you out of the hole. I know you're going to sack me, and I'm just waiting for my big payoff, and I'm going to head off into the sunset.
Yeah,
and that's what he's done.
Yeah, and fair play to him. Like, what can you say? He's another genius. I always say this about Hodgson. He's a genius. If you can get away, to me, it's not much of that you've drank. Isn't it sticking to your throat?
Sticking to your face.
Yeah.
Like getting big bits of beef sticking to your face.
It's nice. All toast Sam Allardyce today. Imagine Bisto sales going through the roof.
Yeah, other gravy is available.
Yeah. Unless they want to sponsor the Anfield wrap.
Imagine that. So often Red sponsored by Bisto. You have to drink this every time.
I was saying to Robbo when the news broke yesterday, we should get Sam on. I reckon he'd love it. Did you know the mad thing about his quote? He's not talking about getting sacked. Where all that stuff about being disgusted, he's talking about the boardroom reshuffle. And I'm like,
he?
Yeah, because it got announced. I was reading the full story before. It got announced at like an end of season do that he was at. And he was like, well, no one told me. You're getting sacked tomorrow anyway, mate.
Yeah, don't worry.
Why should we? It's none of your business. That's why we didn't tell you.
You got a meeting with Mashiri, and you're going to walk in, and he's going to tell you to do one, and that's what it.
And just give you a big pile of cash.
That's what happens.
That isn't his, by the way. It's his mate from Arsenal. So
I mean,
yeah, it's all. In fairness, it's been great, hasn't it? We've enjoyed it, but I think it even got to a point where, despite us taking the piss as much as we possibly could, obviously, the whole thing just became a bit pathetic, and.
I found myself sticking up for Everton fans who were fuming about it.
But they hate that.
I know they do, of course they do. The last thing they want is our sympathy. But I mean, like, yesterday, even when he sacked, like, I saw, like, Dan Walker from the BBC, like, tweet out, like, Everton finished 8th, and I replied to him, because it's not just about that. And, you had Jim White the other day on Sky Sports sort of selling it as a brilliant job that he'd done. I mean... In fairness, that's what I mean about him being a genius. His spin is incredible, isn't it? Because when you've got those people buying into it, we know from experience from our club, the rest of the country will just go, well, he did a good job, he finished 8th, because they're all saying it. Whereas, like us and everyone in the city, in fairness to Evertonians, like, but it was shite. Like, it was awful. Yeah, I mean, we still get stick now as a bunch of fans, Liverpool, about Hodgson and the fact that we don't like him, and the fact that he's done an alright job at Palace. That's like how you get people who come to me like, you still feel that way about Hodgson? Of course I do, because he was awful for us, an awful fella, a fella who didn't get the city, didn't get the group of fans that support Liverpool Football Club, and was horrible in press conferences, was having a go at journalists for no good reason. He's a horrible fella, and yet he's this lovely granddad with all this experience, and hasn't he done a great job, and look at his big watch, and doesn't he read loads of books? I think the Crystal Palace thing with Hodgson, I love that we've got onto Hodgson here, just proves why he wasn't right for us. Like, I don't think me and you have talked about this. I was chatting to Neil about it ages ago, but might have even put this on Twitter. There was a clip from Hodgson weeks and weeks ago where they'd been on a run and got themselves away from the relegation zone, and he was on that bit on Match of the Day. Joey Lineker interviews someone, and at the end of the interview he said, so Roy, are you looking up now to see how high you can get, or you're always looking over your shoulder? And he just laughed and went, always looking over our shoulder, Gary. Always looking down. And you're like, yeah, that's why you couldn't be Liverpool manager. You can't always be looking down. That absolutely sums him up. It absolutely sums him up. But that's Sam as well, isn't it? Yeah, and that is Sam. And I mean, it'd be interesting to see what he does now, whether that's that for him. I mean, he did say, there's a quote kicking around from somewhere where, even before Everton, he was saying, that he was able to look after his grandchildren and all that in terms of the money he's made across his career. He's got £5 million quid more now washing around in the accounts. I mean, I think what is worth saying that, if you do, lots of people do read anything and everything about football and like to read up on other clubs and all that sort of stuff. If you want to read about Everton where it's not just a fella like me and a fella like Kofi taking the piss, I really would recommend reading Andy Hunter in The Guardian, because he's an actual blue, a passionate blue, but a very good writer as well, and also someone who's worked the Merseyside patch for a long time. So he was my go-to today when I thought, well, I'm going to read up what's actually happened here as well as just taking the piss. And so just to quote some of his piece today in The Guardian, he says that Allardyce is the third manager Moshiri's sacked in the space of 2 years and 4 days. Martinez sacked May 2016, got a £10 million payoff. Koeman sacked last October, but now in charge of Holland, is still having the bulk of his £6 million annual salary paid until the summer. Yeah. Obviously, Big Sam now has been handed £5 million as well. And Andy says more on this sort of opinion side of the reign of Sam. He says, wretched football on a weekly basis, taking responsibility for victory while abdicating it in defeat, an arrogant dismissal of supporters. None of that was the basis for building consensus or hope for the future. He also says one undeniable statistic favoured by the Everton manager pinpointed his impact. Everton had conceded 27 goals in the 10 before Allardyce's arrival. He would insist 9 because he keeps claiming the West Ham win.
Yeah,
when Unsworth was in charge. Was it?
Yeah, I love that.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
isn't
that
it?
wasn't you, mate.
But basically over the next, it was the same amount of goals as they conceded over the next 20. So he tightened them up. You know, he got them percentages conceding less goals, but the other way, they had no ambition. I mean, you saw the way they come and played at Anfield, and it was awful, wasn't it? He had the goalie launching the ball out into touch, trying to, I think, hit someone on the line, but never achieved it.
Yeah, I knew, when we did the review after that, they were like, I don't know whether Sean or Neil or both were saying, yeah, it was a tactic, and they were trying to widen it. I was in the ground that day, and it looked like they were just kicking it out of touch as far up the pitch as they could to me. So, because the goalie can kick, so like if he wants to pick someone out 60 yards up the pitch, he can. It was just horrendous, wasn't it? Like
he says here, he says his average points return over 24 Premier League matches was almost identical to Unsworth's over 5, 1.41 per game compared with 1.4 under Unsworth. So yeah, that was Sam's return, 1.41 points per game. And Andy says, and there was not one impressive performance among them. His tenure will be remembered instead, if at all, for attempting to bring on a defensive midfielder, Morgan Schneiderlin, at 0-0 against Watford, only to summon a striker when Troy Deeney scored what proved to be the winner, for being content with the points at Swansea, for having the second lowest number of shots on target in the Premier League season, and for having a style of play that one rival manager branded conference football.
That's brilliant. My favourite one was, like, love the way he's only been in charge a few months, and there's already like a greatest hits of stuff he said.
Exactly,
my favourite one was him beating us on aggregate. Would have won on away goals.
And won the second half against Man City.
Yeah, brilliant.
Well done, Sam.
Brilliant.
So yeah,
is there a DVD for that? There will be, won't there?
So Everton have to start again. New manager, new director of football, new staff. They'll let a load of staff go as well. But the ledge is still clinging on. Duncan Ferguson.
Is he still there? Is he? He's definitely got some photos somewhere, hasn't he? Of our Bill.
Or does he just threaten to batter them every time they say maybe you should go?
Do you reckon that's what it is?
Yeah.
I've heard some stories that like literally it's like you've got to have him, you've got to take him.
Yeah, he just always survives all these calls. So good luck to him, fair play. All right, so plenty, as I say, on the Anfield Wrap and on Tour Player, stuff to read, stuff to listen to. We've been talking this morning as well with someone there, hopefully about more video next season, so more on that when we know that too. But yeah, we're carrying on right through the summer.
Imagine more professional stuff like this.
More professional
coming
stuff
into
like
your faces.
We will be as well documenting our trip to Kyiv. I was going to ask you about that actually. On the Kyiv thing, continual really sob stories, sad stories about Reds all over who A, can't get tickets, B, are getting ripped off to get there, C, now as well, accommodations just keeps falling by the wayside for really unbelievable reasons. I mean, one lad sent a thing to us, and I think the Echo might be doing a story on this, whereby he'd booked it a while back, and then just yesterday he got a letter off the hotel claiming that there was a virus, and this virus allowed bookings between the 25th and the 27th of May. But actually it was just the virus, and the hotel was full and they were sorry, so he didn't have a room anymore. It's a very specific virus, that, isn't it?
It is a very specific virus. It's like, it is, because I very much take the approach you've got to laugh at these things, and it's all part of the fun and all that. I might not be laughing when I'm sleeping on the streets of Kyiv. People, I was saying to Andy before, I think word's got round that because I am a lawyer technically, and I've had like some disputes with Booking.com already. People have started messaging me about it.
There's a lad on the rap.
You can get in touch with me, just so everybody knows I'm getting screwed over as well. So, like we've literally, I was saying before, me and my mates have got about 5 apartments that we think we might have a possibility for. Some of them are even technically confirmed. I've got an Airbnb that is definitely made up. It definitely doesn't exist. The host just will not reply to me no matter what I do. Airbnb do not care. And someone said to me yesterday, you've got to remember, Airbnb does not expect this. Airbnb is set up for like people who like want to build reputation and stars and all that. They don't realise that some people are just going to set one up for a week and get the best price they can and just fuck off everybody else. So it's like, Craig wants to speak to me after this about stories. I'll have to pick a different one to this for him, but I remember Athens, when we went to Athens, it was bad enough, like the game and losing and all that, but that night we hadn't booked accommodation, and we ended up having a bevy and then sleeping on a park bench, waiting for our bus to open its door. I went to my mates the other day, why didn't we just stay out drinking? If that was now, we'd just stay in the bars.
Was it
shut? Is that what it was?
I went to that as well and had a similar thing. They sort of like kept us in an area for ages, didn't they? Do you remember? Sort of at the back of the ground, sort of penned into this big space. There was no ale or anything, and I remember like people were having a game of footy with like a plastic bottle, because I absolutely boomed this bottle because it come near me and it flew. Well, there was more than one footy game on, and a few flew past John Power, and he went, what's that?
John Power from Cast.
John Power from Cast. They both flew past him, neither of them hit him, and he was just sort of like, man. I just remember that sticking in my head, but I don't think there was anywhere to bevy. I remember eventually getting one, but yeah, we were in a similar boat in that we just sort of had to wait round until like, you know, we could get on transport, and I think it was going light and all kinds when we eventually did. It was horrible.
The park we were outside ended up being a sex park as well, by the way. That was the punchline. We were sitting there and like watching things. One of the lads went to me, have you noticed people keep going into this park and then like coming out 10 minutes later? And then we got on to it like 10 minutes. It was brilliant. What a day. Kyiv will be better than that, I promise.
I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? It is mad. It is a rip-off. It is testing the patience of lots of people, and I hope you all get there one way or another. But what it does do is create mad stories, and I think there's going to be mad stories from our mad trip right across Europe in a bus with 12 of us on it. It could make or break the Anfield app, but it'll all be right here on YouTube, on our podcasts, on Talking Reds.
YouTube might not allow it on.
Well, it might not. We'll see what happens, but one more time, to you, Big Sam, up the Reds, Talking Reds.